They said goodbye on the bridge, both pretending it didn't hurt. The city hummed a distant, indifferent tune below them, a sprawling galaxy of lights that seemed to mock the darkness gathering between them. He watched her walk away, her silhouette shrinking against the fiery sunset, until she was just another shadow swallowed by the coming night. Each step she took felt like a hammer blow to his chest. He stood there for what felt like an eternity, the wind whipping round him, carrying whispers of what was and what could never be. He thought, "This is it. This is the end of my world." The pain was a physical thing, a shard of ice in his heart that he was sure would never melt. He believed that this goodbye was a curse, a permanent stain on his soul. How could something that felt so right end up so wrong? He replayed their last words, the forced smiles, the unspoken truths hanging heavy in the air. He convinced himself that happiness had just walked out of his life and he'd never find it again. For weeks, then months, the memory of that bridge was his personal ghost. Every sunset was a painful reminder. Every gust of wind seemed to whisper her name. He moved through life like a phantom, the vibrant colors of the world muted to shades of gray. Friends offered advice. Time heals all wounds, they'd say. But for him, time was just a slow, agonizing crawl through a landscape of regret. He built walls around his heart, brick by heavy brick, vowing never to let anyone get close enough to cause that kind of devastation again. He focused on his work, pouring all his energy into deadlines and projects, anything to numb the persistent ache. He told himself this was strength, this was survival. But in the quiet moments, in the dead of night, the echo of that goodbye would return, as sharp and as cold as the day it was spoken. He was living, but he wasn't alive. The bridge wasn't just a place, it was a monument to his failure, a symbol of a love he thought was forever, but proved to be fleeting. But time, as it turns out, is a patient and subtle teacher. It doesn't always heal with a grand, cinematic flourish. Instead, it works quietly in the background. Slowly, without him even noticing at first, the grey began to recede. A genuine laugh escaped him during a conversation with a colleague. He found himself enjoying the taste of his morning coffee again, not just drinking it for the caffeine. He started a new hobby, finding a surprising passion for woodworking, the scent of sawdust and the focus it required pushing the old ghosts into the corner. He reconnected with old friends, realizing how much he had missed their easy camaraderie. He wasn't chasing happiness anymore. He was simply allowing it to find him in the small, everyday moments. The wound was still there, but it was no longer a gaping chasm. It was a scar, a part of his story, a reminder not of what he lost, but of the fact that he had survived. He learned that rebuilding yourself isn't about forgetting the past, but about building a future that's strong enough to hold its weight. Years later, he found himself walking that same bridge. It was dawn, not dusk. The sun was rising, painting the sky in strokes of pink and gold, a gentle, hopeful light that felt like a promise. The city was just waking up, stirring with a quiet energy. He stopped in the middle, at the very spot where his world had once ended. He leaned against the railing, feeling the soft morning breeze, and he didn't feel a single trace of the old agony. There was no phantom pain, no ghostly whispers. Instead, a profound sense of peace washed over him. He thought about the man he was back then, so broken and certain that his life was over. He thought about her, and he wished her well, with a genuine, heartfelt sincerity that surprised him. That goodbye, which he had seen as a curse, was actually a detour. It had forced him onto a different path, a harder path at first, but one that led him back to himself. It taught him resilience, self-love, and the quiet strength of solitude. It had been a blessing in the most painful disguise. Standing there, with the new day dawning before him, he walked on, not with the weight of a painful memory, but with the lightness of a lesson learned. And he smiled. Thank you so much for joining me on this little journey today. If this story resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you did like this video and subscribe to the channel for more reflections like this one. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.